Let's start off with Manchester United. In terms of income, of course, last summer, United were focusing top end of the pitch, the likes of Mbeumo and Cunha. But the focus seems to really be on midfield this summer around. So who are the options they're looking at, James?
That is the priority for Manchester United in this transfer window, a midfielder. They're already going to get one in the form of Ederson from Atalanta. That will be confirmed as soon as Brazil go out of the World Cup. But Aurélien Tchouaméni, Alex Scott...
Or win it.
Or win it. They could play England next Saturday evening at 10 o'clock, so let's wait and see. We may get a good glimpse of him there. Yeah. But in terms of those midfield options, Alex Scott, one of the ones top of the list. Aurélien Tchouaméni as well at Real Madrid. Those are two of the top targets when it comes to midfield. In terms of other options, Felix Metscher, Ayoud Bouhaddi, Sander Berge and Eduardo Camavinga, who's a teammate of Tchouaméni at Real Madrid. Two of the options they're looking at there. I guess the issue around the Real Madrid midfielders is the fact that Real Madrid are looking to revamp their midfield in this transfer window. They're looking to sign one more midfielder. There's a feeling if they do bring one in, then maybe one midfielder will be allowed to leave. You'd think that maybe Camavinga. So I think Tchouaméni will be a very difficult player to get out of Real Madrid. Same being said about Alex Scott as well. Bournemouth don't want to sell him in this transfer window. If there was to be a race to sign him, you'd think Manchester United and Arsenal would be the front runners. Bournemouth want him to sign a new contract. We know how impressed Thomas Tuchel's been with him. He played for England during those warm-up matches earlier on before the World Cup. And they've got European football to look forward to this season as well. They want to keep him. Those two deals look very difficult for Manchester United to do. We know they definitely want to sign another midfielder alongside Ederson.
I guess the old cliche at this time of year, especially around relegated clubs, they're willing to do business on the cheap for their best players. West Ham keen to avoid that, though, and we know that there's plenty of players there of interest. So what can you tell us, especially around these two?
I think we need to give West Ham plenty of credit for getting £85 million from Matheus Fernandes. A brilliant start to the transfer window for them in terms of recouping some money. Here are two players who are likely to be top of the agenda. Manchester United see Summerville as one of the top left-wing options. Crysencio Summerville did so well for West Ham last season, didn't quite do enough to keep them up. Did well at the World Cup with the Netherlands, and United have held exploratory initial talks with West Ham around trying to sign him in this transfer window. His future is expected to be clarified over the course of the next few weeks after the Netherlands went out of the World Cup against Morocco earlier on this week. When it comes to Jarrod Bowen, the club captain, a slightly different stance from West Ham. They do not want to sell him in this transfer window, despite plenty of interest from Premier League clubs in this transfer window. No price tag has been given or quoted to clubs. He's got a contract up until 2030, which puts West Ham in a really, really strong position. And also he was featured on the launch of their new home kit ahead of the season they're going to have in the Championship this season. He'll be back for pre-season next week. West Ham don't want to let him go. So it seems like Bowen is not for sale. Summerville, it looks like there is interest across the Premier League. Manchester United, one of the clubs looking to sign him. At the same time for Manchester United, they got Marcus Rashford back at the club. Barcelona didn't take the option to buy him permanently. I don't think United would consider another loan spell for him. So if Rashford's reintegrated and plays a part this season, then will they sign a left winger? It feels like when it comes to United bringing in someone on the left-hand side, Rashford's future is absolutely key here.
Yeah, of course. And, obviously we've had the significant change in terms of Michael Carrick now being permanent head coach. I wonder if that might potentially change his fortune.
So, essentially, what we've got around Tchouaméni is that Ben Jacobs said last night that he could be available for around £70 million. Fabrizio Romano has said that Alex Scott is highlighted as one of Manchester United's internally highly rated midfield targets this summer, alongside Tchouaméni, with Arsenal also liking him. So a couple of stories last night about the two names that Man United consider internally as fantastic options for the midfield are Tchouaméni and Scott. Obviously, that's as of today. I think 2 weeks ago it probably included players that have signed for other clubs now. But I'll repeat what I've said before. For me, I think we're almost entering the spin stage, like we're spiralling out of control, because this is just regurgitation of stories that we've had for weeks and nothing's happened. Like I said, Tchouaméni leaving Real Madrid and being open to a move to Manchester United has been known for 3 months, and we've not done anything. And actually, in those 3 months, we're probably moving further and further away from doing the deal, because Real Madrid haven't bought a midfielder and they're not linked to a midfielder at the moment. Tchouaméni will be in the World Cup until the end of this month, and then he'll have a holiday, and then the Premier League will have started. So even if we tried to do a deal for him, which is very unlikely, You're not, we're talking right at the end of the transfer window, even if we do it. So it's not imminent. We're not about to bid, and effectively, Man United have proven this summer transfer window that they can't knock on the door of a club that's not really a willing seller and get a deal done. West Ham were a willing seller and we couldn't do it. Forest were a willing seller and we couldn't do it. Newcastle were a willing seller and we couldn't do it. At what point are we going to knock on the door of a club that doesn't want to sell? I mean, it's literally like those two magnets that won't go together. We can push as hard as we can, but they will never meet because club doesn't want to sell, Man United don't want to spend. How the hell is this going to happen? So I call spin on this with Tchouaméni. I know what I know, and I'm not saying that things can't change. I mean, Man United, fingers crossed, will abandon everything that they're doing around their pitiful approach to transfer fees and wages. I'd love them to drop £80 million on the floor of the Bernabeu and 250 grand a week for Tchouaméni and say, let's party. I'd love them to do that, and if they do, maybe that deal can happen. But we're not likely to do that. So when I think it's almost getting to the point of I feel sorry for some of the good journalists that they're having to keep using the name of Tchouaméni, because I genuinely think and partially know that it's just not something that's imminent at the moment. So, and I would stick with what I said last night. It's deal off more than it's deal on. And I suppose that's the vacuum of what happens when you spend a month going after Matheus Fernandes and you almost get complacent. I think we've got complacent. I think when we look at Cunha and we look at Mbeumo, those deals did take a long time, but we had the player buy-in and we knew in the end we'd get what we want. I think we thought we were going to get Matheus Fernandes. I thought we were like, look at all the fans moaning, look at them moaning. In the end, we'll be absolutely fine, and we haven't ended up fine, and we've lost a month. And I think we're now going, just put a story out about Tchouaméni. Just give Fabrizio a story about Tchouaméni. We need more time. We need more time. And I don't think they know where they're going next. So I think with Tchouaméni, yes, there's stories from Real. There's stories out of Spain again that he is for sale. But where are Real Madrid going? And why would you sell Tchouaméni at the moment? And I think that is becoming... It's exactly what I said last night. I don't think Real Madrid want to sell him. Why would you sell a player that's doing really well in the World Cup right now, in a position who... and does a job that Mourinho loves. Mourinho loves that defensive midfield position. He hasn't got anybody else. Even if he got Rodri and Rodri does his knee, he hasn't got anybody else. I think their plan is to keep him, and he will want to stay. If they don't want him, he'll come to Man United. If they want him to stay, he'll stay where he is. So I think that's where it is. Donate says, guesswork, Bridge. Mate, you're not going to rage bait me. Like, I know where I know the information from, and I know we were first on it 3 months ago. So you can call it guesswork. What I would acknowledge is that if United put their arse into gear and offer £80 million for Tchouaméni, they maybe will get him. But it's not guesswork, mate. I think the guesswork is what's going on externally about what Man United are going to do next. But believe what you like. It doesn't really bother me massively. Talking about Alex Scott, let's just pick up on this, because Fabrizio also said that Scott is highlighted as one of Man United's internally highly rated midfielders, with Arsenal also liking him as well. After missing out on other players, both clubs, both Arsenal and Manchester United, view Scott positively, but Bournemouth currently insist on keeping the player and are offering him a new contract, meaning he's not for sale right now. However, if Bournemouth receives big proposals and opens the door to an exit, Arsenal and Man United are the two clubs to watch closely as keen suitors. Now look, I like Fabrizio and he's just doing his job, but even in his own update, it contradicts who we are. You know, he says Bournemouth are not selling Alex Scott at the moment and want him to sign a new contract. However, if there is big offers, they may open the door, and Man United are watching the situation closely. But Man United and big offers don't go together, do they? And I agree with Stuart. I don't think there's any chance of Alex Scott. I really don't. I don't think there's any chance of Tchouaméni today, and I don't think there's any chance of Alex Scott. And hence the thumbnail spin. I think United are in a downward spiral desperately trying to attach themselves onto something that will stop it, where fans will go, this is not a mess.
Yes, Andre Onana is going back to Trabzonspor. Manchester United have confirmed that in the last few minutes. He's going on another loan spell. He enjoyed a really successful loan spell last year in Turkey at Trabzonspor. They finished third. They won the Turkish Cup as well. Onana played 40 times for the club, and there were no conversations, despite the fact he impressed in Turkey, about him coming back in pre-season and competing with Senna Lomans, who is now the outstanding #1 choice for United in terms of goalkeepers. So Onana, it's been arranged very early in this transfer window, will return to Turkey for another season, and when he returns after that, there'll be 1 year left in his contract. So it looks like United have found the best solution in this transfer window, though of course long term they'd like to get some money for him next summer if they can, before he leaves as a free agent in 2 years' time.
Yeah. You mentioned Camavinga, Tchouaméni. Well, as far as Real Madrid are concerned, Florentino Perez and Jose Mourinho already done a lot of business at Real Madrid, but one player who will not be joining the revolution at the Estadio Bernabeu is this guy here, Enzo Fernandez.
And it was felt that he was going to be one of their top targets in this transfer window, and he made some comments to Argentinian media in March when he spoke about Madrid being a great city and suggested he'd want to perhaps play for Real Madrid, and all the talk behind the scenes had suggested that Enzo and his representatives were perhaps pushing for a move to Real Madrid. But Real Madrid have done something which is almost unprecedented. They did it earlier on this season when they ruled themselves out from signing Michael Olise. They've done the same today, saying they've got no intention of buying Enzo Fernandez in this transfer window, which is really interesting from Real Madrid, which means Enzo's in a situation whereby it seems likely you'd have to say he stays at Chelsea in this transfer window, because Chelsea want around £100 million, probably more when you look at the amount of money that the likes of Tonali and Elliot Anderson are going for in this transfer window. They bought him for £107 million. So if they're not going to get anywhere near that, it's unlikely they sell him, and they're in a very strong position as well. He's got a contract up until 2032. As far as they're concerned, they want him being part of that first-team plan under Xabi Alonso this season, which could be a really, really exciting era for Chelsea Football Club.
Yeah, and especially given, Xabi himself knows about what it's like being a big-name midfielder.
And a World Cup winner as well.
World Cup winner as well. I mean, they're coming out of our ears right now. Christian Camber on the show earlier. Let's talk Spurs, and we're expecting news to come out in the next few days on Sandro Tonali, but the headline today, a midfield departure in the shape of João Palhinha, a man who produced some clutch moments for Spurs in the last season. Yeah,
he may go down as a Spurs legend, considering what he did in the last few weeks of the season. He scored the winner against Wolves, which got them back on track, and scored that goal which you're about to see against Everton, which ensured Spurs remain a Premier League club. Last summer, Spurs brought him on loan from Bayern Munich. They had the option to buy him permanently. At the end of the season, Roberto De Zerbi said 100% in terms of wanting to keep João Palhinha. But since that's happened, we've seen what Spurs have done in this transfer window. Bring in Sandro Tonali, that will be confirmed very soon. Bring in Matheus Fernandes, that was confirmed yesterday. So it's felt like they didn't really necessarily need João Palhinha, despite the fact they really respect what he did last season. They've got so many midfielders now, Spurs. Bergvall, Archie Gray as well. Maddison will return to the fold as well this season. So there wasn't the need for Palhinha, perhaps. And he's released a statement on Instagram today saying, representing Tottenham has had a profound impact on my life, not only professionally, but personally, and it is something I'll carry with me forever. Spurs fans will forever be grateful for what João Palhinha did. He's laid the foundations for what they've done this summer in terms of really attacking this coming season under Roberto De Zerbi. So they owe him a huge amount of gratitude. And it looks like, it's our understanding, he's likely to move to Sporting in Portugal, his former club.
All right. OK, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much.